In this video, I'm gonna be showing you how to build the gimmick version of the cigarette that Mario Lopez uses for his trick in order to turn the cigarette upside down every single time. And in this video, I'm gonna be showing you how you can build this gimmick and use this perfectly so that you can also do the same exact effect and without much trouble. So first of all, here is what the performance looks like. So that was a little bit over dramatic performance from my side, but anyways, this trick is actually a dramatic performance type trick, which means that when you're going to perform this trick, you're not going to say anything, you're just going to rather than perform this trick with facial expressions of disgust and anger when the cigarette actually turns upside down every single time. And that's how you actually execute this trick. So first of all, before going into the execution, we are going to see how this gimmick is built. Before that, let me show you this is the gimmick. So we have half filters on both the sides. You can see that. And in order to build this gimmick is a little tricky to build because you need to actually make it look like a real cigarette. And as you can see over here, it really looks like a real cigarette. That's because the build was done in a very precise way. So if you think that you can build this gimmick on your own, you can skip this part and go to the explanation directly on this timestamp that's given right over here. But I'd suggest you not to skip the build part because you have to build this cigarette precisely so that it looks like a real cigarette and not like a gimmick. And here is how you're going to build it. Now, in order to build this gimmick, you need a real cigarette, a piece of paper. This is the same exact paper that I used for my math trick. You're going to need a scissor, a tongue, a glue stick, and a pencil and a scale. The scale is optional. If you want to use a scale, you can use it. So at first, you're going to take the cigarette and put it on one of the corners of the paper, aligning it with both the edges, and then take a pencil and mark it deeply at the end of the cigarette so that you can get the actual height of the cigarette so that you can fold the paper along that exact mark and you can get the height of the cigarette. So from the mark, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the paper, keeping it aligned with the edge, and then I'm going to give a crease so that I can get a really nice and crispy fold over there. And I'm going to use my scissors to cut along the fold. Now, in order to make this process faster, I'm going to use the scale in order to just quickly cut it just like that. Now, once this is done, I'm going to use the rest of the paper, not this small piece, and I'm going to use the cigarette. What I'm going to do is basically I'm going to pull out the tobacco through the cigarette, and in order to do that, I'm going to use these tongs because the tobaccos that are stuffed in this cigarette are really stuffed in very tightly, so you need these tongs. So once you start pulling out the tobacco, you also keep on rolling the side of the cigarette so that the tobacco that's left inside the cigarette also gets a little bit loosened up so that it's easier for you to pull it with the tongs, and keep doing this until and unless you make the cigarette totally empty. Once you're done with the tobacco side, use the tongs in order to pull out the filter. Now, the filter that is present over here is a cotton roll and it is stuck to the sides, so it's going to be a little bit difficult for you to pull out, but for that reason you need to press around the filter and then roll the cigarette back and forth so that you can loosen up the adhesive that is present between the filter and the filter paper, and keep trying in order to pull that cotton out with the help of the tongue, and suddenly you'll see the cotton coming out instantaneously. And the cotton that is left on the filter paper, just try to remove it with the hands. Now after that, bring the narrow piece of paper that you initially cut and then start rolling it with the white side outside. That means the writing side should go inside, and you start rolling it very tightly so that the roll is exactly very stiff, and at the same time you are also pressing on both the sides with the finger so that the paper roll that you're making is also a straight one. Now once you finish rolling that paper, you're going to try to put it inside that empty cigarette. Now if it does not go in, just make sure you unroll a little bit of it and cut it off and try to fit it inside the cigarette. And when it fits entirely inside, you're going to pull that entire roll out, but make sure at the same time you're not loosening it up again, because that is the perfect size that you want. And once you bring it out like that, you're going to apply glue stick, and then you're going to apply a clip in order for it to dry when you're doing the rest of the things. Now you're going to take that empty cigarette and then you're going to press it flat, and then you're going to again open it up and press it flat on the opposite side, but this time you are going to make sure that the previous folds are actually matching each other. That way you get an entire good point in the cigarette, and then cut along the fold with these scissors. Now once you exactly cut through the fold, you're going to get these two exact halves just like this one. Then bring back the roll that you made previously, apply adhesive to these two parts inside, and then apply adhesive to this entire roll, and then stick one half of the cigarette on one side, and on the other side stick the other half of the cigarette upside down. And after you do that, make sure you're not having a lot of adhesive on the outside, because that is going to destroy the gimmick that you just made. Now there are going to be papers that are going to be coming out from in between the cigarette, so you just need to cut it off with this scissor, and then you're going to let it dry. And when the drying process is done, you're going to be having this exact gimmick which looks like a real cigarette from both the sides, and this is going to be acting as the gimmick that you're going to be using for this trick. Now let's move on to how you're going to use this gimmick. Now after you build the gimmick, this is how you're going to do this trick. So at first, while you're going to use this gimmick, all you need to do is press the cigarette that you've made a little bit flat so that you can feel whenever you are twisting it entirely. Okay, now first of all, when you're going to start this trick, keep this cigarette in your pocket or among some cigarettes in your cigarette box if you smoke. So since I don't smoke, I keep it in my pocket. I'm going to take it out, and then what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to hold the cigarette in the right position, and then while I'm going to put it in my mouth for the first time, I'm actually going to use my thumb to twist the cigarette, and that happens in this motion. So this twisting happens while you go to put the cigarette in your mouth. So basically in that big movement, you hide that small movement of twisting, and then you put the cigarette in your mouth, and every time you actually turn this cigarette upside down normally, what happens is this part again goes to the bottom, and this bottom again comes to the top. So it is like an automatic thing when you're using this gimmick. So it happens automatically, like the cigarette always stays upside down. Now then again, you're going to hold the cigarette in the middle of the trick. After like doing it 2 times, after turning it 2 times and putting it in your mouth, you're going to hold the cigarette from the middle, and then you're going to just turn it just like that. You are not going to turn the cigarette like this anymore, but you're going to just turn it like that. And when you turn it like that, what you're going to do is, again, while you're going to put it in your mouth, you're again going to use your thumb in order to twist the cigarette, and again in that big motion. So the cigarette goes in, but this time when you're putting it in your mouth, if you are planning to move your head left side, you are going to move your lower jaw to the left side at first while you're going to put the cigarette in your mouth. So while you're going to just put the cigarette, you're not only just twisting the cigarette and bringing it near your mouth, you're also moving your left jaw towards the left side. So like this, okay? So this happens like this. So you're holding the cigarette with the left jaw towards the left side. Now what you're going to do is basically you're going to turn your head quickly to your left side, and while you do that, you're going to move your left jaw, which is on the left side, you're going to move it from left side to the right side. So like that. And when you do that, what happens is this cigarette does not turn entirely, but it turns halfway. And since it turns halfway, if you're turning your head this side, they are going to see the filter is in your mouth. Then you're going to slowly hold the cigarette from here, and then you're just going to bring it just like that. Without turning this side or this side, you're going to bring it right in front of the spectator. And then basically, while you're again going to put it in your mouth, you are just going to twist it using your thumb and put it in your mouth. So again, that way you're going to get this confusing cigarette done. Now for the spectators, the filter will be on the bottom side. So what you're going to do is basically you're going to pull the cigarette out of your mouth hold it like that and put this filter side, which is visible to the spectator, on your left, to your left side. So what you're going to do at this moment is, while you're going to hold the cigarette from this side with your mouth, what you're going to do, you're going to again move your left jaw, sorry, the bottom jaw towards the left side like that. And then again, while turning your head from this side to this side, you're going to move your bottom jaw, which is holding the cigarette from left side to right side. You're going to move your bottom jaw from left side to the right side. So it happens somewhat like this if I show you in slow motion. So you also sometimes turn your head a little bit towards the left side so that you can give them a proper view of the filter, not to expose the gimmick. So for this, you need to practice this in front of the mirror so that you can figure this out, like if you're doing it correctly or not, so that you can do it flawlessly in front of the spectator. So that is how you're going to execute this gimmick, and that is how you're going to use it. And that's it for this video. So if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, and if you're new here, make sure you subscribe so that I can create more of this amazing contents like this one. And thanks for watching. Peace.